All right, wipe the sweat off. Take a breath.
Yeah.
We are not in the classroom today. We're
No.
not sitting in some lecture hall, taking notes while someone points at a slide deck.
Forget the laser pointer.
We are in the locker room. The air is heavy. The noise is industrial. And we're looking at the equipment and we're realizing that the past few years, we've been using it completely wrong.
Wrong, because we've been treating it like a convenience.
Exactly. We've been treating this massive influx of artificial intelligence like a calculator.
Or a butler.
A very polite, very efficient butler who brings us answers on a silver platter so we don't have to get up from the couch.
And that stops today.
It has to stop.
It stops because it is making you weak.
Weak.
If you treat technology as a crutch, your muscles atrophy. It's a simple principle.
But if you treat it as a sparring partner,
You build mass. The sources we are analyzing today, specifically the papers on what they call symbiotic coexistence and this methodology of the logic hunter, these aren't instruction manuals.
no, they're not.
They are training regimens.
Yes.
So we are pivoting. We are moving away from the concept of user and tool.
That's over.
That relationship is dead. The new paradigm is athlete and sparring partner.
That is the shift. I can feel it. That's the energy we're bringing today.
Yeah.
It's vibrant resilience is that feeling you get after a really heavy workout. Your legs are shaking, your lungs are burning, but
You know you're stronger.
you are stronger than you were an hour ago. And these sources, they're suggesting something pretty radical. The goal isn't to make AI do the work for us.
No.
The goal is to use the friction that AI provides to reveal who we actually are.
Friction is the operative word. You have to understand this. Without resistance, there is no force generation.
Right.
Without force generation, there is no movement, no growth.
So the thesis for this whole deep dive,
Is precise. The friction provided by AI is necessary to reveal unique human positioning. We're talking about structural integrity.
structural integrity, like a building.
Exactly. When you build a skyscraper, you don't just hope it stands up. You wind test it. You shake it on a table.
You try to break it.
You try to break it. If it stands, it's good. If you are building a career or a philosophy or a creative identity, AI is the wind tunnel. It is the stress test.
And most people are absolutely terrified of the wind tunnel.
They are.
We see the hurdle and we immediately look for a way around it. We ask ChatGPT to write the email so we don't have to think about the tone.
Or summarize the report so we don't have to wrestle with the nuance.
We're avoiding the stress at all costs.
Yes.
But this core concept, this symbiotic coexistence, argues we have to run straight into the hurdle.
Because the hurdle forces definition. It forces you to define yourself against it.
Okay, let's get into that. The generic self versus the authentic self. This feels critical.
It is. This is why the Butler model is such a catastrophic failure. The generic self is the part of you that follows templates.
The default settings.
The default settings. It's the part of you that writes those standard emails, that uses corporate buzzwords, that thinks in safe average patterns.
The path of least resistance.
It is the mathematical average. You have to get this mechanically. A large language model predicts the next most likely token, the next word, based on the statistical average of all the human knowledge it was trained on.
So it's always pulling towards the middle.
It navigates to the dead center of the bell curve. So if you ask it to be creative without any serious constraints, it will just give you the most statistically probable version of creativity.
Which is the most generic version of creativity.
That is the generic self.
Yeah.
AI has solved it. It can replicate the generic self in milliseconds.
So the warning is,
If you are operating from your generic self, you are obsolete.
ouch. I mean, that stings, but you hear it and you know it's true. It's stripping everything away.
But that's the point.
The source material, it describes this not as a loss, but as a shedding.
A necessary one.
Like a snake shedding its skin. Or, to stick with our theme, it's like cutting weight. You're burning off the fat.
And the fat is anything the AI can do for you.
Right. If the AI can do it, it isn't really you, it's just the filler.
The generic filler.
So, okay, when the AI strips all of that away, the polite emails, the basic summaries, the standard code, what's left?
What's left is the authentic self.
The core.
The irreducible core, the parts of your cognition, your experience, your history that cannot be predicted by a probability engine.
But you can't find that core if you're constantly padding yourself with AI-generated fluff.
You can't. You have to let the AI attack the generic parts of you. You have to let it hunt down the mediocrity so you can see what remains.
It's like exposure therapy for your intellect.
An apt diagnosis.
And we're going to get practical with this. We're not just philosophizing. We have drills.
Specific, actionable, high-intensity drills.
And the first one, it's about one of the most painful things anyone goes through in the professional world.
Job hunting.
Job hunting.
And the current state of job hunting is, frankly, a failure of structural integrity.
Oh, so?
We have data from recruiters' blind surveys included in the source stack, and the numbers are damning. 43%.
43% of what?
Of recruiters claim they can spot an AI-assisted cover letter or resume within 5 seconds.
5 seconds. You can't even read the first sentence in 5 seconds.
They don't need to read the sentence. They recognize the texture.
Or the lack of it.
Or the lack of it. Candidates are using AI to generate these things. They feed in a prompt, they get a polished document, they send it out. We call these digital size.
Digital size. I love that. And I hate it at the same time.
It's that feeling.
Yeah, it's that feeling of opening a document and seeing perfection that just feels completely empty.
It is smooth. It is dramatically flawless. It is optimized for keywords.
And it is completely invisible.
It slides right off the brain. A digital sigh is a resume that says everything and communicates nothing.
And what it signals to that recruiter is?
That this candidate is operating entirely within the generic self. There is no hook. There is no blood in the water, nothing to grab onto.
So, the big question, how do we spar with this? How do we use the machine to break out of the digital sigh?
The source material introduces a drill. It's called the refusal audit.
And I've tried this. Let me tell you, this requires a thick skin. This is not for the fragile.
No, the standard approach is weak. It's, ChatGPT, please write my resume to make me look good for this job.
Right, you're asking for validation.
It is a request for a hallucination of competence. The refusal audit inverses the polarity.
You don't ask for help?
You ask for an attack.
The prompt command is so explicit. You take your resume, you feed it to the AI, and you say,
tell me exactly why this resume is mediocre.
And then?
Tell me why you would not hire this person. Play the role of a ruthless recruiter.
You are literally asking to be rejected.
You are simulating the adversarial environment of the market before you enter it. When you ask AI to write for you, it hallucinates strengths. But when you ask it to critique you,
it hallucinates weaknesses.
But those weaknesses are often based on the very real patterns of generic content it was trained on. It knows what mediocrity looks like.
So it'll look at your bullet points and say,
this is vague. This lacks impact. This sounds like every other resume I've seen today.
And that hurts. I'm telling you, you sit there and you watch the screen fill up with all the reasons you're not good enough.
Candidate claims leadership, but provides no evidence of conflict resolution.
Yes. Candidate uses passive verbs. Candidate uses buzzwords like synergy and optimization without any context. It tears you apart. But, and this is the breakthrough, the pain is the signal.
Precisely. The pain forces a defense. And this brings us to the core concept of this drill, human grout.
Human grout. Okay, let's unpack this metaphor because it is the absolute anchor of this entire drill.
Think of a brick wall. The bricks are your standard skills. Python, project management, sales, graphic design.
The things everyone lists. The keywords.
Everyone has bricks. AI has the entire library of bricks. It can stack them perfectly. But the wall only stands because of the grout, the mortar.
The messy stuff.
The messy, sticky, imperfect stuff in between that holds it all together.
So in a professional context, human grout is
the non-replicable, often messy personal experience that defines your actual value.
It's the story. It's the story about how you save that account after you accidentally insulted the client CEO on a call.
Yes.
It's the time you had to fire your best friend because the budget got cut in half overnight.
Yeah.
It's the chaotic, emotional, high-stakes moments that didn't go according to the textbook.
AI cannot generate grout. It has no access to it. It can only generate bricks.
So when the refusal audit comes back and attacks your resume saying, this is generic,
your natural human reaction is to defend yourself, to say, no, wait, you don't understand.
That project wasn't just lead. It was a total disaster that I salvaged by working 3 straight weekends and negotiating a truce between 2 warring departments who hated each other.
Boom.
That's the grout.
That specific defense, that, no, wait, here's what actually happened. That is the material that goes into the new resume.
You stop trying to sound professional and polished, and you start trying to sound real.
You are pivoting from smooth to textured.
And a recruiter's eye just glazes over smooth.
It catches on texture. When you defend yourself against the AI's refusal, you are forced to articulate the specific context, the specific struggle, the specific resolution.
You're finding your position in the market not by looking for the open space, but by standing your ground against the critique.
It is self-positioning through resistance.
You aren't guessing what makes you special anymore. You're letting the machine tell you what isn't special so you can point to what remains.
You're stripping away the generic to find the authentic.
Which is the only way to survive a market that is just flooded with synthetic competence.
If you sound like a machine, you will be replaced by one. It's that simple. But if you sound like a human who has survived a fight,
you become valuable.
You become irreplaceable.
Okay, let's run a quick simulation. I want the listener to really hear the difference here. Let's take a standard awful resume bullet point. Something I see constantly.
Give it to me.
Responsible for managing cross-functional team communication and improving process efficiency.
That is a digital sigh. It is absolutely nothing. A void.
Right. It's a ghost. So I feed that to the AI in the refusal audit. The AI comes back and it says,
"This is meaningless. Responsible for is a passive phrase. Communication is vague. Efficiency is unmeasured. I would not hire this person because I have no idea what they actually did or what the stakes were."
Okay, so the candidate reads that and gets angry. They get defensive. They think, what do you mean? I didn't just communicate.
The engineering team and the sales team hated each other.
They weren't speaking. They were actively sabotaging each other's tickets in the system. I had to physically force them into a room every single morning for 3 weeks until they stopped.
That is the human grout.
Sales and engineering hated each other. That right there, that's the texture.
So the rewrite isn't just a polish, it's a total reconstruction. It becomes...
United conflicting sales and engineering departments by implementing mandatory daily stand-ups.
Keep going. The metric.
This action reduced ticket sabotage by 40% and restored the product launch timeline.
The difference is visceral.
The first one puts you to sleep. The second one tells a story of conflict, leadership, and resolution.
And you only got to the second one because the AI attacked the first one.
Right. If you had just asked the AI to polish or improve the first one, what would it have given you?
Streamlined interdepartmental dialogue to enhance operational synergies.
Which is utter garbage.
It is polished garbage. It is the generic self in a tuxedo. The refusal audit saves you from that fate.
So that's the career drill. The refusal audit, it's heavy lifting. It requires you to confront your own mediocrity before a recruiter gets the chance.
But we need to move on.
We need to move to the next station in the gym. We need to talk about the mind itself, how we think.
Because the other danger of having a super intelligent butler is that we just stop thinking for ourselves. We get lazy.
You have a term for this.
Intellectual parasitism.
That is a terrifying phrase.
It should be. It is the clinical diagnosis of the modern condition.
Break it down.
We ask a question. The AI gives an answer. It sounds plausible. It's well formatted. We accept it.
We copy-paste it.
We adopt it. We move on. We have outsourced the cognitive metabolism required to process truth. We're feeding off the machine's digestion instead of doing our own.
It's like going to the gym, watching someone else lift the weights, and then expecting your own muscles to grow.
Hey, good set, ChatGPT. I feel stronger already.
You don't. You just feel smug. You have the answer, but you haven't earned the understanding behind it.
And an answer you haven't earned is fragile.
What do you mean by fragile?
If you're challenged on it, you can't defend it. You didn't build the logical structure yourself. You just rented it. You're a tourist in your own opinion.
So how do we fix this?
To fix this, we need the second drill, the dialectic loop.
Okay, this is where we turn the AI into a logic hunter.
Yeah.
This is my favorite drill because it turns every single opinion you have into a cage match.
The structure is Socratic, but it is aggressive Socratic.
It's not a gentle teacher guiding you to the light with soft questions.
No, it is a sparring partner actively looking for an opening to knock you down.
Okay, so here's how it works. You take a raw personal opinion, something you believe.
It can be anything.
Let's say, remote work is fundamentally destroying corporate culture. Or the exact opposite. Offices are obsolete prisons designed to crush the human spirit.
The initial position is irrelevant. You just state your case. That's step one, the thesis.
Then step 2 is the command. And you do not ask the AI to agree with you. You don't ask it to expand on this idea.
That's the parasitic move. You do the opposite. You command, identify the 3 most dangerous logical fallacies in my argument.
You are handing the AI a knife and pointing to the weak spots in your armor.
And you don't stop there. Step 3 is the kill shot.
Use an opposing perspective to completely dismantle my view.
You are inviting the antithesis. In a Hegelian dialectic, you have the thesis, your idea, the antithesis, the conflict, and the synthesis, the new higher truth.
And most people stop at thesis. They just live in their own little echo chambers.
The logic hunter drill forces the antithesis.
So you type that in,
Mm-hmm.
you hit enter, and the AI comes back and it says,
Your argument relies heavily on anecdotal evidence from your own limited experience.
you are using a straw man argument regarding productivity metrics.
You are committing a false dichotomy by ignoring hybrid models.
And then, after that, it writes a 500-word essay on why you were completely and utterly wrong.
And now the workout begins.
Right. You've been dismantled, your structural integrity has failed, and you have a choice.
You can fold, you can admit you were wrong and just adopt the AI's view.
Which is just another form of parasitism.
Or you can fight back.
You have to synthesize. You have to look at its attack and say, okay, it got me on the anecdotal evidence. I need to find better data for that.
But it's completely wrong about the culture aspect because it's missing the human nuance of spontaneous mentorship that only happens in person.
You have to rebuild your argument, but this time to survive the attack you just endured.
You are strengthening your evidence. You are refining your logic. You are discarding the weak points that the AI exposed for you. You wrestle with the antithesis.
And what emerges on the other side. It isn't your original opinion.
It is a forged conclusion.
That's the synthesis.
Yeah.
And the key here, the feeling of it, is that you won that truth. It wasn't given to you on a platter. You fought for it.
You went 3 rounds with the logic hunter, and the opinion you hold now is battle-tested. It has integrity.
This is the only cure for intellectual parasitism.
It is. You must actively participate in the destruction of your own ideas to see which ones are strong enough to survive.
I mean, that's a powerful statement. If an idea cannot survive a 30-second dismantling by an AI,
it does not deserve to be held by a human mind.
that is a high bar.
It is the only bar that matters now. In an age of infinite, cheap information, the value is not in knowing things. Anyone can know things.
The value is in knowing why they're true.
And being able to defend them against an infinite supply of synthetic critique.
Let's bring this down to earth for a minute. For a listener who's thinking, I just want to get my work done. I don't want to fight a robot every time I have a thought. Why is this necessary? Why can't we just enjoy the convenience?
Because convenience breeds fragility. And the market, the real world, it punishes fragility without mercy.
Give me an example.
You're in a meeting, a high-stakes meeting with a client. You present an idea that you pulled from an AI summary 2 hours ago. Your boss, or worse, the client, challenges you with a simple why.
And you crumble.
You crumble. You don't know the terrain. You've only ever seen the map. The person who wrestled with the logic, who fought the antithesis, who forged that synthesis, they know the terrain.
They can pivot. They can defend. They have authority.
Authority comes from the struggle. That is the fundamental takeaway.
So we are seeking this symbiotic coexistence. But it's not a comfortable symbiosis.
No. Sometimes symbiosis is abrasive. Think of the shark and the remora, the wolf and the winter. The friction is the relationship.
So the AI provides the infinite, relentless challenge.
And the human provides the resilience, the adaptation, and that unique, messy grout that connects the dots in ways the machines simply cannot.
It changes how you look at that chat interface.
Yeah.
It's not a search engine anymore.
It's a dojo.
It's the gym. It's the place you go to get beaten up, so that when you walk out into the real world, into that meeting, into the negotiation, you are untouchable.
It allows you to pre-fail.
Pre-fail, I like that.
You fail in private against the machine so you can succeed in public against the market.
You burn off all the bad ideas, the bad logic, the sloppy phrasing, all in the safety of the simulation.
But you have to invite the failure. You must ask for it. The default setting of these tools is to please you, to agree with you, to hallucinate validation.
You have to consciously override that setting and demand the friction.
It's about returning to a culture of effort.
We got so excited that AI made things easy. But easy is boring. Easy makes you soft. We want the athletic mind. We want the industrial strength career.
We want structural integrity.
Okay, let's recap the drills. I want everyone listening to actually do this. Don't just nod along.
Drill 1, the refusal audit.
Take your resume, your bio, your project proposal. Feed it to the AI.
Command it to play the ruthless recruiter or the skeptical investor. Ask it, why does this fail?
And then listen to the critique, feel the sting of it, and then rewrite using the human grout, the specific, painful, real details that the AI says are missing.
Drill 2, the dialectic loop.
Take an opinion you hold dear, something you think you know. Feed it to the logic hunter.
Ask for the fallacies. Ask for the dismantling.
Then rebuild your argument. Synthesize. Don't stop until you can win the argument against the machine that's trying to tear you down.
And these are not one-time actions. This is not a checklist.
No, this is a lifestyle.
This is the cognitive metabolism of the future. You wake up, you spar, you grow. You do not spectate.
That's the mindset. We are done with the era of the passive user.
Right.
We are entering the era of the active athlete. The AI is the weight on the bar. It's heavy, it's intimidating, but you don't just stare at the weight.
You lift it.
And you do not ask the weight to be lighter.
You ask your back to be stronger.
Exactly.
One final provocation before we close this session.
Hit us.
We have talked about career and logic, but apply this same principle to your own internal narrative, your life story.
Okay.
If you asked an AI, dismantle the story I tell myself about why I am not happy or why I am stuck, what would it say?
Whoa.
If you asked it to identify the logical fallacies in my excuses, what would it find?
That's personal.
The generic self protects us from these hard truths. We tell ourselves comfortable lies. I'm just waiting for the right moment. I'm too busy. It's not my fault.
And the AI is a sparring partner.
It will not protect you. It will expose you. And in that exposure, you might finally find the urgency to actually change.
That is terrifying
Yeah.
and absolutely necessary. You're turning the tool into a mirror.
A very harsh, very high-definition mirror.
A mirror that shows you the cracks in your own foundation so you can finally fix them.
Don't ask AI to make it easy.
Ask AI to make it hard so you can see what parts of you survive the pressure.
That's the deep dive.
Now, get back to training.
Session dismissed.